You should know by now, you should understand pretty much what an agent is, how it communicates, what it does with the SIS. Roughly know what the SIS does. To that extent you need to know at the moment. We will do a lot more on that. Now we go, okay, developing agents. There's different ways you can develop an agent, different toolkit. And you have to be aware of these options, because sometimes it's actually not a bad thing. Some of those are very good in certain situations. In other situations, use another toolkit for whatever reason. These are the three ones I do really know of, which have agent development toolkits, or have agents you can configure without the need of coding and so on. Pearson. They're formerly known as introductories, and that's when you install the SIS, you've seen that still runs under the install directory introductories, SIF works, and so on. But that's them. Introductories, as they're former, they've been bought out by Pearson. Their toolkit is the one we're using for this bootcamp. Not that you see that toolkit directly, because we're going to use a framework built on top of it, so you don't be exposed to that, right? Because that is a bit scary. But it's a very powerful toolkit. It's in Java and .NET. Has low-level APIs. With low-level, I mean, it gives you full flexibility. Whatever you need to do in communication with the SIS, it still abstracts the actual low-level protocols, but to build an agent, you have quite a bit of code to write just to get the agent, quite a bit for the subscriber, quite a bit for infrastructural kind of work, how you start it, how you start a subscriber, in which order do things happen, which config files you need to read, all that sort of things you need to know. So it's a lot is kind of hand-coded from scratch. That visual agent, excuse me, has a very, very, very different concept. So you see a complete different way how you can configure an agent. You don't write code here. You write some SQL, but that's about it. It's fully configurable. You don't read much code, but of course it makes a few assumptions that you can do everything from configuration rather than code. So it expects generally that it can connect to the database. That's not always true. Not every time you can connect to a database by other interfaces you need to use. Or the database is in such a shape you can't write one single SQL statement to retrieve one object. So if I have 2 or 3 steps SQL, then that thing starts getting into a bit of trouble. There's other ways you can solve the problem, but you need more than just configuring. RM have a toolkit which is similar to the Pearson's. It's .NET only, so if you need to deploy anywhere else, not .NET, which there's some in here, which their production environment is not .NET, sorry, Microsoft or Windows, then you have a bit of problem with that one. Otherwise, it behaves very similar to the Pearson one.